also at SA Sports Star, where you can like, subscribe, and comment along with the show. Always appreciate you for hanging in with me. You can call the phone lines at 656 ESPN 210 656 3776, or you can get at us on the socials. Of course, the station is at SA Sports Star on all the social accounts, whether it's Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, TikTok. While I am at I am Pleasure. Lots to get into today. Pac 12 falling apart at the seams. Commissioner Sankey speaking on it. Lots of incredibly poignant things came out of this morning's interview with Todd Archer of ESPN on R&R in the morning. I will play that for you here coming up in the next segment. But they went into a rabbit hole this morning on R&R, and they were debating about how much Kellen Moore was actually to blame for the offense last year, which, by the way, is a top 10 offense.
Well, I think another thing, Robin, this comes back to why maybe Kellen is not there. When they looked at the advanced analytics, the Pro Football Focus does this thing, Rob, and listening to the listeners out there, they're called turnover-worthy plays. And turnover-worthy plays result in 77% interceptions. Now, Dax, when Kellen Moore called the play that was quote-unquote deemed turnover-worthy, 88% of the time Dak was intercepted. 88% of the time. Now, in fairness to Dak, Rob,
how many turnover plays were we calling?
Well, when they call turnover-worthy plays, 88% of the time Dak would throw it an interception. And I'm sure, and that's the thing, when you go back and look Sunday night or Monday morning, and you see the list of plays you called, and then you see like, well, why are we still calling these turnover-worthy plays if we know he's turning it over 88% of the time? And I'm sure. So again, where you say, oh, well, they had number one offense. Well, he also got us intercepted a lot from a lot of these turnover-worthy plays. Now, in fairness to Dak, RJ, Jason, Clarence, since Dak entered the league, no quarterback has more dropped passes intercepted. He's had 9. He's tied with Matt Ryan. So that means, think about that. Dak's been in the league since 2016, right? He's going into his 8th season. There's not a quarterback playing that's had more interceptions from dropped passes.
Now, Rudy, you know what that plays into.
I know. That's what I'm saying. RJ, Jason, I'm coming to y'all's defense. I'm coming to y'all's defense. Like, he's tied. Think about this. Matt Ryan was in the league for 90 years.
And he's the most unlucky SOB ever to walk the planet, Matt Ryan.
He's tied with Matt Ryan. 9 dropped interceptions.
So
is it Dak's fault?
Yes, because some people are just unlucky, Rudy. Do you know people that just, if something bad's going to happen, it's going to happen to them?
My wife will tell you it's her.
Well, a lot of people at some point in their life will say it's me. But we can all honestly go, I know one poor son of a that if it's bad, it'll be to him.
Like, I could accept it if they said he's tied with Kirk. I could accept if they said he's tied with Matt Stafford. He's tied in the lead
with the dude that gave up the biggest halftime lead in Super Bowl history.
Thank you. 9 dropped interceptions. Thanks, Noah Brown.
Now, you say how much is Kellen to blame for that? I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, we must look at things through every prism. And I go back to the fact that CeeDee Lamb on 105.3 The Fan in training camp while we were there last week talked about how much this offense is on Dak.
Really not much, honestly. Just, the way, different play calling, of course, but it's just, it's a lot more simpler. All the offense is in Dak's hands now. It's not necessarily, being called from Mike or Kel since last year, but now it's all on Dak. Like, however he's feeling versus the coverage, if he like the matchup, we're going to call that play. If he likes whatever he likes versus zone, he's going to call that play. So technically it's all in Dak's hands. And and we moving much faster at a different pace. And just the ability to go out there and play freely is, you can see it as fun.
So it's in Dak's hands. And remember when the previous couple of years, Cowboys fans were getting mad at Dak Prescott for their quote-unquote lack of running the ball because they were run-pass option plays that Dak decided to option out of? Well, apparently McCarthy is not taking that off of his plate, but putting more of that on his plate, according to CeeDee Lamb.
Absolutely. Way more. And this is going on my 4th year, but like the past 3, this is the most in control of the offense that I've seen Dak. I mean, obviously he can make a lot more changes, but going into the line of scrimmage, us as receivers, we know the other 2 or 3 options that he has to change to. So, I mean, with that, I feel like that opens up the game, that opens up Dak's mind, and he doesn't feel so closed off of just predicated to that one play that's being called. So, I mean, granted, the defense could give us a man coverage and we call it a zone play, is obviously not going to work, right? So now that he has the opportunity to go from man to zone back to man, I mean, it could go either way, So, just the ability to, read the defense, read the coverage, and then see what he likes versus the defense. I mean, it's really Dak versus the D coordinator.
It is Dak versus the D coordinator. He's going to have a lot more input this season than he ever has before. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because maybe he was handcuffed in what he could move in and out of with Kellen Moore, to where you only had a couple of options. And it limited him, which forced him into bad decisions. That can also be true. But it does sound like this is a big old kind of prove it year for Dak Prescott. Almost even more so if that's the case. And I imagine everyone in the building knows the case, that this is squarely like, Dak, you're in full control. It'll be interesting to see how these contract talks, which we just started hearing about more so this week, but still nothing materializing, if something gets done before the start of the regular season or not. Other things going on at Cowboys camp. Well, we had boots on the ground last week, and we still have boots on the ground this week. That is right. Todd Archer of ESPN, who is in Oxnard, California, covering the Cowboys with the latest on everything he's seeing out there right now. He was on with R&R in the morning earlier this morning. I'm going to play that for you coming up here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Plus, the anniversary man, Rob Thompson, will be joining me at the bottom of the hour. So don't go anywhere. More Extra Innings with Pleasure coming up here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
The boys from San Antonio Sports Star are back from Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California, and the tales to tell. 7 days and 7 nights of training camp coverage. And that was just at all of Jerry Jones's parties.
We get to suck on that all week.
Security, of course, provided by AA Best Bail Bonds.
We are joined by Terrence Steele, San Antonio's own. See, we claim you when we say San Antonio. See, now that you big time. So you said we can't when give you the tech, you were just similar. All good. He's like, wait, you play for the Cowboys. He's from San Antonio. We be jacking similar. We claimed it. San Antonio. No, what part?
Cowboys training camp presented by AA Best Bail Bonds, Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds, Texas Cheer Liquor, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, and SASportsStar.com.
If you get arrested, get out of jail fast by calling AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. Text bail to 474747 or online mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else. Don't be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you one, make sure you understand the conditions before accepting it. AA Best Bail Bonds. Nobody beats their price. They have payment plans. Call 210-225-2121 or mybestbailbonds.com.
License number 149.
It's patio season, so get over to the Roo Pub at 281 and Redland Road to enjoy the great South Texas weather. As always, ice cold beer and specialty drinks, happy hour weekdays from 11 to 6, and the kitchen is open late until 2 a.m. every day. Add the Roo Pub into your lunch rotation. With those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around, you know there is no better place to watch a game, and they always have all the fights. The Roo Pub, next to the Angry Elephant, 281 and Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
Not all pizza places are the same. Mellow Mushroom originated hand-tossed, stone-baked classic Southern pizza. Not in the mood for pizza? Order a calzone, hoagie, sandwich, burger, or a mellow salad and see how care goes into every item on the menu. Take your pick from 24 draft beers and or handcrafted cocktails. And many of the pizzas can be made gluten-free or vegan. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 in Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
Mother's Window Tint, your car stereo and auto security headquarters, has a smoking hot deal. Purchase any Mother's Window Tint, car stereo, remote start, or car alarm and get a 1-month free membership to the CFL Smoke Shop's private Amsterdam Club, located next to Mother's on 281 North. Enjoy your gummies in comfort while you get your windows tinted with any one of our high-quality, fully guaranteed films to stop the blazing hot summer sun from burning up you and your car's interior. MothersWindowTint.com with stores in San Antonio and Austin. Follow us on Facebook. Add a professional layer of security to your car with our remote start car alarm combo. Make your car go thump, thump, thump. Mother thump with one of our subwoofers, stereos, backup cameras, name brands, and expert installation. Remember, do it at Mother's and save.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
If you've been injured in a car or truck accident, y'all need you to call the Rexperts. Hey, it's Rudy J. Hilly and Solis, most people don't know anything you say or write can and will be used against you by the insurance company to reduce or possibly deny your accident claim. The law office of Hilly and Solis will go to work and make sure you get the compensation you deserve, and they're going to make sure you get it fast. They're former prosecutors. They don't just know how to fight. They know how to win. Let the Rexperts take care of dealing with insurance companies so you can worry about yourself and you can worry about your family. Don't let these insurance companies take advantage of you. See if you can turn that crash into cash. Hilly and Solis will hire the top medical and technical experts to support your claim. Call for your free, yes, free, no obligation consultation right now at 210-762-6261. That's 210-762-6261.
Principal office in San Antonio, Texas. Message brought to you by a non-attorney spokesperson.
When traveling to see the Longhorns in Austin, make sure you bring along the guys from 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Listen anywhere on the Odyssey radio app.
Welcome back into San Antonio Sports Star 941 FM. This is Extra Innings with Fletcher. Thanks for riding along with me tonight. Anybody catch the fact that Steph Curry is living his best life as he got to go on stage with Paramore and belt out some Misery Business? I was actually pretty dope. I just saw that. I was like, man, he's unlocked a cheat code level of life, and I am excited because that looked awesome out at the Chase Center last night up there in Golden State. But the Cowboys, hopefully have a cheat code in Dak Prescott. That's what they hope that he turns out to be. And Todd Archer, as I just mentioned, will be joining from R&R this morning. They were talking, or I was talking in the previous segment about CeeDee Lamb and how a lot of the offense is more on Dak than it is even Mike McCarthy, it seems like. He has total control and autonomy at the line of scrimmage, and they've made the offense, in CeeDee's words, simpler. So I posed the question, knowing Dak has about a $60 million cap almost next year, 59.6, I believe it is. And if no extension gets done, even though there is talks right now, if no extension gets done and they roll this thing out with Dak, and Dak's bet on himself before, I doubt he's afraid to do it again. If the worst case comes, could they be looking for an out? And that's exactly where they started off this morning on R&R in the Morning with ESPN Cowboys reporter Todd Archer.
That's a great thought. And I don't know how many conversations they're having right now with Dak's agent about a contract extension, to be honest with you. The guys that I've talked to said it's kind of on the back burner. Their focus now is CeeDee Lamb, Terrence Steele, and then see what happens with Dak in this year. But his cap number next year is 59-point-something million. That's a big cap number going into the last year of a contract because he has 2 void years on his deal right now. So I don't know if it's like a win or else and they'll move on from Dak after this year and draft a guy. But I will say this. Since 1980, there have been 3 quarterbacks that have been drafted by a team and have started as long as Dak has started to make a Super Bowl for the first time after year 7.
Wow.
Ken Anderson, Peyton Manning, and Matt Ryan in Atlanta.
That's a stat.
So maybe the Cowboys are looking at it as like, wait a minute, he's had this opportunity. We believe we've had this good team around him. Maybe we need to sit back, hold our cards a little bit, and if he does it, great. We'll give him $500 million. Who cares? Start thinking about this job. I don't know if they're going that way, but I would think all things are on the table for the Cowboys because it's such a huge financial decision to make and how it impacts your team going forward.
That's Todd Archer, ESPN NFL insider, and all around great guy. Yesterday in practice, we didn't have Tony Pollard running, so we got a chance to look at those that are competing for RB2. Did anybody separate themselves?
I don't know if anybody separated themselves, but all 3 of them, Rico Dowdle, Malik Davis, and Deuce Vaughn, had some really good moments with the first team. And that's kind of what you want to see. And you don't want to go too crazy about what you're seeing at training camp practice because they're not game plan, they're not this. But you guys are out here. You've seen what this defense has been like during camp. I thought yesterday might have been their best running day of camp. Now, some of that might have been the focus of practice seemed to be on the run, but Rico Dowdle had a couple nice runs up the middle. Malik Davis converted a 4th and 8 run. Deuce Vaughn bounces outside. Deuce Vaughn is interesting, man. Like, he's 5'5". We all know that.
Right.
Like, you can't see him when he gets the ball. I don't know how the defense sees him. And so once you get to the preseason games and they can actually tackle, and it's a real game or close to a real game, that's the guy I'm most interested in seeing this Saturday against Jacksonville, Deuce Vaughn, just to see if he can kind of carry over what he's done in camp.
Todd, to people that you've talked to, is there any concern that Pollard will go through what Gallup went through and to some sense Dak went through as the mental struggles of coming back from a major injury?
No, I don't believe so because this was the surgery that he had. It was a high ankle surgery. It was called a tightrope, where they just take the ligaments and they wrap them around and tighten it all back up. This is different than an ACL. Certainly different than a dislocated and fractured right ankle that Dak had in 2020. So they don't believe so. And if you've seen Pollard out here the last couple of days, really has shown some juice. Both wheel routes down the sideline, getting by a linebacker, up the middle run, juking his way through the defense. So I don't think there's any fear of like the mental side of that injury. And I think Tony's at a point where he knows he needs to have a big season if he's going to get that long-term deal, be it from the Cowboys or somebody else. So I don't think that would be an issue for him this year.
Todd Archer joining us. Check his stuff at ESPN. And if you're not following him on Twitter, how can you call yourself a football fan? Let's talk about Tony Pollard and what you've seen in the juice. How much of this is a product of this new offense? And take your long-term view. As you've seen the Cowboys over the years, are you seeing in practice as they've installed this? I haven't heard it said very often, but this Texas Coast or Tex Coast offense, are you seeing a difference on a play-to-play change? And if you are, what are they?
I honestly, no.
Me either.
And maybe that's because I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm looking at when I'm watching football. But some of this stuff is just coach speak to make it sound good that, hey, we've changed this and we've done that and look what we're doing different. Now, the one thing I will say that does appear different is Dak's getting the ball out quicker while also taking more shots down the field. And I know that doesn't sound right, but it does seem that he has more options maybe early in routes. If things don't look good, he can check it down or find a different receiver as an outlet. But if he has a chance, he's taking the deep route to Gallup, to Brandon Cooks, and even to CD a little bit. But offense is offense. Like all of these schemes have kind of melded together over the years where there's really not that much difference. And I think Dak would even tell you that. Now, some of their changes, really the biggest change is in pass protection and what they're asking the running backs to do, how they're going to be blocking certain fronts. And some of it is how they get the ball out against overloaded looks and how they always give Dak an outlet. But, they're not doing enough right now to notice a difference. But even if I just don't see anything really truly different, they're running the same routes. There's really no difference there. They're running the same runs. I don't see a difference there. I think maybe more as you get into the game plan specific stuff that you see a little bit of McCarthy's West Coast philosophy come involved in it. But right now, it looks the same to me.
What was your reaction, Todd, when Michael Gallup said this is the first year that we've been asked to count Dak's steps? They're harping on it. They're talking about it every day. You've been around the game a long time. Is it normal for receivers to have to count the quarterback steps? Is that not normal? What was your reaction when you heard Michael Gallup tell you guys that?
I would say this since Mike McCarthy's got here.
Okay.
He has said you have to marry the quarterback's drops to the receiver's routes.
Yes, that's what we thought. That's what we thought.
So, like, if a quarterback is taking a 7-step drop, well, I'd imagine that someone is running a go route, right?
Right.
If it's a 3-step drop, I would imagine someone is running a slant. So I don't know how revolutionary this is, to be honest with you. Now, maybe they have to be more in tune with what Dak is doing, but to me, it's incumbent on the quarterback to know, I get to my back foot and it's gone. I'm not waiting unless stuff breaks down. And, we were talking about this in the media tent the other day. They can draw up all these plays and they can look great. But really what separates the best quarterbacks from everybody else is what happens when the play doesn't work.
Yes.
And it's a big pile of junk in front of you. And Dak has been good in the impromptu kind of stuff. And they practice, which sounds stupid, they practice this stuff in 7-on-7s where they're rolling out and the receivers know where to go and to build that chemistry on things. So it's not so much how much they're drawing up and making it look all good in these fancy charts, but when things break down, then what do you do? And I think when you look at, and that's just playing ball, and you look what Dak and CD have done, a lot of times they're playing ball. He's getting a good understanding now of Brandon Cooks. Obviously, he's had a long rapport with Michael Gallup. So, and even Jalen Tolbert this year, I think, has taken a little bit of a step into becoming a more comfortable receiver in what Dak does when things break down.
That's Todd Archer joining us here on San Antonio Sports Star. Check his Twitter, follow him at ESPN. You brought up a good point about the chaos that Dak has actually done a pretty good job in thriving when plays have broken down. He's been adequate, if not good. And part of that has always been his tight end, his safety net, whether it was Whitten or Schultz. Who's going to take, if you were, oddsing this thing, who's going to step in? Is it Ferguson? I know Hendershot finally stepped onto the practice field yesterday.
Schoonmaker got on the practice field.
Schoonmaker, sorry.
Yeah. The second round pick. I would go with Ferguson. But I think this is going to be different. And honestly, I've been covering this team so long. It was really, for the longest time, was Jason Witten and everybody else at tight end. And really the last couple of years has been Dalton Schultz and everybody else at tight end. They probably don't have, we know about running back commit by committee. I think it's really going to be tight end by committee. But if one guy's going to lead the room in catches, and play maybe a bigger role. I think it should be Ferguson. I think he should have played more at times last year. Hendershot is a guy that can help in the pass game, but I think Ferguson is the closest thing they have to an every down tight end that can both block and do some things in the pass game. And it's too early to know what Schoonmaker is going to be able to do just because he's practiced. He's had a half of a practice, not even a full practice yet. But he's a guy that comes from Michigan, a pro-style offense where they ask the tight end to do a whole heck of a lot. Same with Sean McEwen, their fourth tight end at the moment, who might Lindo Wells, the tight end coach, said he might be having the best camp of all of them. So I think you'll see a committee approach at tight end as opposed to Dalton Schultz getting 65 of the 80 catches out of that tight end room.
When does Robbie Gould land?
Or Mason Crosby or somebody like that.
I would say they'll be back in Frisco week before a week before the season opener. And they kind of told us like this is Brandon Aubrey's job right now. So he gets this week, he'll get the preseason game. And if he does well, okay, you carry it into the second preseason game and then move on. But if it's a struggle, I don't think they view it as, gosh, we got to get this veteran in here right now because we got to get the timing. No, I think they believe that they can get a timing down pretty quickly with a Robbie Gould or Mason Crosby. But money does factor into these things. And if we haven't got to the Zach Martin holdout yet, but if that's a factor, then giving money to a kicker is also a factor when you look at how the cap dynamics work out with this team. But I think Brandon Aubrey, here's your opportunity, man. USFL, Plano kid, MLS kid, played soccer his whole life.
He's from Plano?
He's from Plano, yeah. Played soccer at Notre Dame, played in MLS. Here's the one good thing about Brandon Aubrey. His freshman year at Notre Dame, they won a national championship in soccer. His first year with Toronto FC, hold me to that's their name. In MLS, they won a national championship. USFL, Birmingham Stallions, I believe they won a USFL title. So
what are you saying,
He's
Todd?
our rabbit's foot,
Say
baby.
it, Todd. Go.
Championships seem to follow this guy around. That's what I'm saying. He's the key to the Cowboys season.
Weakest room on the team. If we're nitpicking, because they've looked good, which was sitting around, what would you feel like is the weakest room on this team?
All right, so we can't say kicker because they have a guy that's not kicked in a game. So
True.
Okay.
I would say backup offensive line has the biggest question marks to me. We know the front five. We know who those guys are going to be when Zach Martin shows up, and you're going to be set there. I think Chuma Edoga, free agent signing, will be their swing tackle, can also play some guard.
Mm-hmm.
But if something were to happen to Tyler Biadasz at center, I don't know who the backup center is right at this point. I don't think it's Matthew Farniok. It could be Brock Hoffman, who he's got some work there. Real questions along the interior among the backup offensive line. But here's the deal: there are 31 other teams in the league that have the same problem. There's no offensive line depth really in this league. So I don't know how that is just a Cowboys problem as opposed to a league problem. But if you're asking me, the biggest worry is, what do they have behind their front five in the offensive line?
So we're assuming Cooper Rush gets the start on Saturday. Do we know?
We don't know, but when McCarthy says he's leaning towards Dak not playing in the preseason, that means, but I haven't made a final decision. That means Dak's not playing in the preseason, but you're just making it look good for the league to say I might change some things. So I would believe you see Cooper Rush and Will Grier as your quarterbacks, and maybe a handful of starters, but certainly not a whole heck of a lot of them.
Is there any competition? Is there a chance he gets to?
No.
I don't think so, because they just paid Cooper Rush a pretty good deal. And to be honest with you, I mean, Rush did go 5-1, right? Was it 5-1?
4-1. 4-1.
Whatever it was. Yeah, there you go.
You go 5-1. Why not?
Was it 5?
No, I think it was 4.
I mean, he's got some more wins in him.
Dak missed 5 games. Right. So, I mean, the guy, they deserve some benefit of the doubt a little bit here at this point. But it's funny to me that a year ago at this time, Will Grier was going to be the backup quarterback, and he had suffered a groin injury in practice that impacted his play in the preseason, and that led to the Cowboys going with Cooper Rush. I do think Will Grier remains in the Cowboys at least on the practice squad, if not with the new third quarterback rules, that he's still around.
Hey, Todd, thanks for reaching out and
Thank you,
talking
man.
with us. I know it's awfully early there on the tennis courts, but enjoy the cool weather, man. It's 110, 1,000 here.
We got I'm 2 days back home for the preseason game and then back out here. So I'll gladly miss the 107 degrees.
Todd Archer of ESPN
Thank you, Todd.
right
Great
here
combo.
on R&R in the morning. Thanks for the knowledge, man. Be safe.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Todd Archer earlier this morning on R&R in the morning, and one of the hosts of R&R in the morning, Rob Thompson, will be joining me next right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure as we break down what he took away from that interview with Todd Archer and the thought that the Cowboys could be historically good, at least defensively. All that more coming up with Rob Thompson right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's Dallas Cowboys football on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. This Saturday, it's the Cowboys and Jags at 3 p.m.
3:11 in the game. Out of the gun, back to Dak. He's taking another shot in the end zone. Left side of the end zone. Touchdown.
Presented by the law office of Jesse Hernandez, the Texas Chancla, Ewald Kubota, Mother's Window Tint, AA Best Bail Bonds, Woods Comfort Systems, and 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-497-9090. That's 800-497-9090. 800-497-9090.
Have you seen the cost of eggs lately? With these prices, we'd barely be scraping by if it weren't for Dave. It's the banking app that advances us up to $500 instantly. There's no interest, late fees, or credit checks. No joke. You can get extra cash for anything your family needs. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve. Member FDIC.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Woo-hoo! Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Score $1,000 cash for back to school and another $1K for your favorite school or charity. Register to win now at sasportstar.com. Good luck from the Institute for Functional Health and 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Of course, you can like and follow along. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you will see my next guest, one Mr. Rob Thompson of R&R in the Morning, every weekday morning from 6 to 10, as he is comfortably ensconced on Thompson Hill with a massive wildebeest chained to him.
This is Sensei. Say hi, Sensei. Yeah, welcome on to Thompson Hill. Enjoying the show today, man. It's a little hot outside, but it's cool on the radio.
It's always good inside the studio when the AC actually works.
Well, that's the whole other thing. I will say, though, I don't know what happened while we were at training camp, but the last couple of mornings as I've come in, our studio was set at 72. It used to be at 80, so something good happened while I was gone.
Yeah, me and Greg went in there and changed the timer on when it kicks on. It now kicks on about an hour before you get there.
It is a comfortable, cool 72. What I deserve at 4 a.m.
We tried to recreate Oxnard as best we could. Which,
thank you.
Speaking of which, y'all just got we just got done replaying your interview with one Todd Archer this morning, who is still in Oxnard. And the first question y'all asked him was about Dak Prescott and his contract and the way that it's structured. And if they don't happen to get a deal done going into this season, if it leaves them an out, which I find very interesting considering the comments CeeDee Lamb made last week in terms of this is now Dak's offense. He has full autonomy at the line of scrimmage, and it is basically Dak versus the defensive coordinator with the amount of control that Dak has now.
And let's be realistic here. Dak is going to retire a Dallas Cowboy. I don't know how it's going to happen. There'll be capitulations given on both sides, but this love affair ain't ending anytime soon. I don't care how bad it gets. I don't think Jerry. Remember how long Jerry held on to Jason Garrett? I mean, long after we all knew it was over. But there's a shelf life on quarterbacks. So, we're in year 7. He's going to sign another deal that'll get him to 10, 11, or 12, and he'll play out his days as a Dallas Cowboy. Now, I will say this. There could be an Emmitt Smith into the career, one last run on a team that has everything but an old quarterback. I won't discount that. But at the end of the day, I think we all know, especially Dak, that he is going to be a Cowboy for life. It's just a matter of how they're going to pay him, but they're going to pay him.
Rob Thompson from R&R in the Morning joining me here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on San Antonio Sports Star. And Rob, I look at this team and I look at y'all's takeaways from training camp. And today was another one of those days where Dak throws like 5 touchdowns, but has 3 interceptions, 2 of them from Trayvon Diggs. And all we're hearing about are the interceptions from Dak Prescott. And because of last season, even though last season was the outlier in Dak's career, he is normally very careful with the football. The fact that last season was the outlier, that seems to be the focal point of the media and everybody that is focused on the Dallas Cowboys right now, is his ability to protect the football, which does make sense when you're dealing with a defense that when you talk about like, hey, just don't screw it up. This defense is going to keep you in every game.
Isn't that it? I think you hit it on the head, James. I think that there is a lot of room to take some risks right now. If this defense is as good as we're seeing, and by the way, go follow Jason Minix on Twitter. Just go see what he's got going on right now. Awesome, but the listing is correct. I'm going to slow my roll a little bit on legendary defenses, but
you're not going 2000s Ravens on this.
I'm not quite there yet, but I will say this: when we talk about practices and the trouble that Dak has had throwing interceptions, if Trayvon jumps a couple, he's jumped some other QBs too, and he knows the plays here. So some of this I think is going against really good, solid competition. And iron sharpens iron, and I think the defense is obviously ahead of it. Is last year an outlier? No. I get the sense that we're going to live a little riskier this year. Are you getting that too?
I think that they are working on things, which is part of it. In training camp, you work on things to know where to take your risks and where not to.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people like to forget about training camp, and they overblow interceptions because I know a lot's being made of some that C.J. Stroud has thrown down in Houston.
Well, Lamar Jackson's having a terrible preseason under Todd Monken. So even the Hall of Famers or the NFL MVPs have issues with new offensive coordinators, whether they're new or not. But I think when we look at the perfect storm that we're looking at with this Dallas Cowboys season is, yes, this is going to be a defense that will rank, if everybody stays healthy, and the trajectory remains the same, that will rank with the best that the Cowboys have ever had. Might not be the best, but we'll look at him in the top 5. I can't imagine how we wouldn't. And then if that's the occasion, well, they're going to generate a few turnovers, as Trayvon Diggs proved today. So there's going to be some turnovers to make up for some risk. We heard from McCarthy yesterday. The passing tree starts with the deep ball. Didn't he say something like that? Like, yeah. We're going to throw it a little bit deeper. You don't get a Brandon Cooks in a 3-2 Flash Gordon speed without trying to go deep, right?
And so CD said that watch out for Dak's deep ball because if you sleep, he's going to hurt you.
So I think there's going to be some risk reward here. So, all things there. Now, the worry is, can this offensive line provide the stability for Dak to do these things? I don't know how the interceptions were generated today. If they were under duress, if he was running for his life, I'm worried. Now, if Trayvon Diggs just happened to jump around, hey, man, give him a gold star. We'll go back to work. But that's where I feel that the Cowboys are in a situation where they can be a little bit risky. Although McCarthy is probably betting more than wins his losses, he might be betting his job.
I think that I tend to believe Jerry when he tells me, and he told y'all when y'all asked him on the tennis courts in Oxnard, Mike McCarthy, is he on the hot seat? And he said, no. I tend to believe him when he says that. And I look at kind of the list of importance for this season for the Cowboys, right? Or the list of concerns. And if I had to rank them currently right now, it is offensive line 1, kicker 2, McCarthy's new offense 3, Dak's interceptions 4. Like, if I was personally ranking the issues that I felt were going to be most problematic going into the season, because it feels like Zach Martin and Jerry Jones have both dug in on their sides and are willing. Who's going to hurt first?
You're right. I think it's to the point of pain here, and the Cowboys haven't felt any pain. Now that pain might come in Jacksonville on Saturday. It might come on week 3, but when the pain comes, it's going to have to be stronger than the pain of $50,000 of practice. I mean, that's a pretty big crowbar. So I think we're about to meet the point of pain, but it's not like Zach doesn't have any money. It's not like he can't just sit at home. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're dug in and we don't see him for a bit. And I think that is the crux to this offense. I think that this offense was changed because McCarthy saw that the offensive line might be not what we thought it was over the last couple of years, that Tyron's getting old and there's some slippage there. So they got to get the ball out fast. And how do you do that? You get speed on the edges and you run, what does Lee Corso say? Quick, short. So we're going to see a little bit of that. We're going to see some deep ball. They're going to keep Dak protected at all times and give him some flexibility and let the defense go be the defense and win some freaking football games is the way it feels like.
The other big news throughout training camp has been the kicker competition, and they cut Tristan Vizcaino. They don't currently plan on bringing another in, but you'll be happy to know that Brandon Aubrey went, after going 7 for 9 yesterday, he went 9 of 9 today. For the first time in camp this year, a Cowboys kicker went perfect on the day, although all of his kicks were inside 43 yards.
Yeah, so everything was 20 and in. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. James, I'm really curious your thoughts on this. What are your beliefs here? Is every kicker the same and you can just shuffle through and find the hot one? Or is it worth going and get a Mason Crosby or a Gould or a leg that we can trust? Because I'm kind of on the, let's just find the hot guy. Let's get our 2-point conversion game in and just play the hot kicker and keep 3 or 4 on a phone tree.
I think if you're gonna do that, then go all in with the 2-point conversion, because there's no need in dipping one foot or the other in if you don't trust your kicker. And that's the problem, is you haven't trusted your kicker in a long time. Now, a lot of teams do have a kicker that they at least trust from whatever it is, 45, 50 in. I don't need them to kick a 60-yarder, but you make your extra points. You make your extra points, and I'll be happy.
Let me ask you a question, James. Before we go any further, a Super Bowl winning team have a kicker like a dude named Aubrey.
Has one?
Has there ever been a Super Bowl winning team that had this remarkable transition in kickers over a period of time? I don't know. And if you tell me no, well, then it's worth a shot. And if you tell me yes, then I think the Cowboys are doing the right thing.
I know Vinatieri's got a lot. I know you have Mason Crosby win one. Harrison Butker's one of the better kickers in the game, and he's got a couple in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like, I can name kickers for championship teams.
But has there been a guy like this? I don't know. I feel like I treat the kicker like fantasy football guys should treat kickers. Yes, they're the highest scoring guy in your team, but there's 32 of them that are leading their team in scoring. So you can find a kicker. You don't have to have something great, because all the kickers are within about, 30 to 40 points
at
the end of the season?
I think that there is, like, every kicker's the same after a certain point. It's a lot like quarterbacks. Once you get past about 15, there's a drop off.
Now, I'm not talking about Justin Tucker. You wrap Justin Tucker in bubble wrap and protect him with everything you would with his quarterback and everybody else. I'm not talking about guys like that. You get those guys and you keep them and you pay them. But there's not a lot of those guys. And if I can't have any guy.
But don't you want the feeling of Dan Bailey pre-back injury?
Yes,
don't you want that feeling as a Cowboy fan again?
No, here's the other side of this. I like the desperation of knowing if we don't get a touchdown, we ain't winning. There ain't no question. If we send this guy back up there, we ain't gonna win it. So there, like deadlines make deals. It's winner take all.
Your battered Aggie syndrome is showing.
Hey man, the Aggies, #1 school in college football for your kicker. You know why? Lots and lots of in-game practice, baby.
He is Rob Thompson. Catch him tomorrow and every morning from 6 to 10 on R&R in the morning. Rob, happy anniversary, and thanks for taking some time with me this afternoon.
You bet, man. It's been fun.
Take it easy. That is Rob Thompson joining me here on Extra Innings with Pleasure. Always a great time getting to talk with Rob. Look, I know some people don't have the same thought process of kickers that I do, but I think there's a delineation, and you want one of those top kind of 15-ish kickers. And if you don't, you should be looking for them. And maybe the Cowboys are when they're trying to find lightning in a bottle with a Brandon Aubrey. But I know there's one on the free agent market in Robbie Gould, who is consistent, nails, and I can usually trot him out there from inside 55 and in and feel pretty confident about the result. That's the way I personally would, but let's face it, the Cowboys have very few holes. There aren't a whole lot of nits to pick at on this Cowboy team. And the fact is, it seems like that list of people they need to pay is trying to get longer and longer because we've talked about Micah, we've talked about CD, we've talked about Zach, we talked about Terrence Steele and Tyler Biotish, who went down and practiced today, but all reports seem to be he's going to be okay. Well, Micah seems like he's trying to get another guy paid when he was talking about the importance of Leighton Vander Esch to that defense.
He's the most important piece. That's one person that I was super excited to have back. You talking about someone that knows and commands the defense inside out, making sure everyone's lined up. Attention to detail. What he puts into the game can't be replicated. I mean, he got a chance to work with Sean Lee, and I just felt like Sean Lee just rubbed off on him. Every bit of his game just reminds me of how he runs to the ball, his aggressiveness, how he just asserts everyone, gets everyone lined up, his willingness to move around. I mean, he's learning the pass rush now, believe it or not. He is no more a rundown linebacker. He's a pass rusher. So, seeing Leighton's growth, having him back, seeing what he's been adding to our defense has been just extraordinary.
And if he has the kind of season that Micah is alluding to, I tell you, there's a good chance that this defense could be the best in the NFL, just like the Athletics' Robert Mays predicts. The funny thing is, on the other end of that top 10, you have another Texas team. That is right, the Houston Texans, getting some love from Robert Mays of the Athletic. His projected order: Cowboys first, Jets second, Patriots third, Niners fourth, Bills fifth, Ravens sixth, Steelers seventh, Dolphins eighth, Titans ninth, and Texans 10th to finish the league in defense this year, which you look at their additions, not so out of this world. If Will Anderson is the defensive rookie of the year, like he's the odds-on favorite to be, you had a Sheldon Rankins, you had a Malik Collins, you have a Jonathan Grenard, you have Jerry Hughes, you have Denzel Perryman, Corey Littleton, Christian Harris, and then on that back end, you look at just the secondary with Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley and Stevie Nelson and Shaq Griffin. I don't think it's that out of the thought process. It's going to do it for Extra Innings with Pleasure. Coming up at 8 o'clock, don't forget, stay tuned. Rangers A's Game 2.
The boys from San Antonio Sports Star are back from Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California, and the tales to tell. 7 days and 7